There's been so much international crises going on, and I've spent so much time talking about Mr. Putin and Netanyahu. I think a light moment now about Peter Bone. Peter Bone, the MP, the Conservative MP who exposed himself to a member of staff in a hotel room. I I don't know whether that's normal in hotel rooms with aging Conservative members of staff. I suppose we should dwell on the word member, shouldn't we? But this is a man who had presided over the most enormous majority. I think 18,540 vote majority that he got, and in Wellingborough. And apparently there are almost no posters up for the Conservatives as the by-election nears next week. And who are the Conservatives supposed to be voting for? They're supposed to be voting for Mr. Bone's girlfriend. I mean, it's simply extraordinary. Harrison, who Mr. Bone's partner of several years, after he dumped Mrs. Bone, who was constantly referred to by her ex-husband in the chamber of the House of Commons. Easy come, easy go. Now he's got Miss Harrison to refer to, but strangely, he hasn't referred to her. She's been this secret character who's now been deified with receiving his crown to replace him. And people. There's a report. There's an article today saying, well, they're all alike. All politicians are the same. I'm not voting for Peter Bone and his little puppet. Extraordinary language from the place that had only in 2019 voted so overwhelmingly for a Conservative candidate who'd worked on that seat for years and years and years and was a popular individual. I'm not so far away from my own stalking ground, and so certainly when I was looking for the possibility of standing in a seat, Peter Bone came up, and I had a look around the constituency, but now. It's the Labour Party that is pitching its wares, and Jen Kitchen. Is that a possibility? She's a 28-year-old candidate, a former waitress, a councillor, a charity worker. She's certainly not Peter Bone's girlfriend. I think she stands a very serious chance of being elected next week. I think things might have been thrown a little bit awry because Sir Keir Starmer has only just ditched his £28 billion Green pledge, and maybe he should have hung on to that. He already had a formula for explaining why it wouldn't be done, which is that there isn't enough money and that they would commit to it when there was enough money. That's a good enough formula. But to dump the pitch completely, the only reason he's dumping it is because it means it's much harder for Rishi Sunak to attack him on it. But attack him he will. He's now got even more ammunition to attack the U-turn impression. And all politicians U-turn. Thatcher's response to U-turn was to defy the people who said it. U-turn if you want to. The lady is not for turning, she said at a conference, getting the joke wrong. The joke was on the wonderful play The Lady's Not for Burning, and she put the emphasis on the wrong word, so got the joke completely wrong, but the message hit home, and she knew it would. She knew it would. What was remembered was her defiance that she's not going to U-turn. But she did again and again and again. And one of the things I say to people who say Thatcher never listened, Thatcher was the Iron Lady, look at the difference between her manifesto promises and what she actually delivered. And there's a huge gap in almost every single case. And that suggests discussion. That suggests change. Not always in the direction you would want, but certainly not a blueprint carried through by defiant conviction from the manifesto to delivery as a bill and then as a law. No, there was discussion. And that's something which I think modern politicians on both sides of the political divide should recognize and learn from. You learn from people of all backgrounds, not just people whose views you espouse. If you live in an echo chamber, you live in a very small world where you only hear the voices of people who say the same thing as you. Unfortunately, that's the world that YouTube wants you to live in. And I want to live in something closer to the real world. I want to encourage debate. I want to encourage a variety of views, even views I don't agree with. I'd rather not have the propaganda. I'd rather not have the chirping and the ad hominem attacks. But I would like the debate, because with the debate, we can move forward. And I don't think that debate is happening in Wellingborough at all, because they've got the wrong candidate on the Conservative Party. I think this is a surefire fit for the Labour Party. Why? Because the Conservative Party has lost the vote.